Welcome back. This is the 21st episode of the Painted Privacy video series, and I am the artificial avatar of Luca Bolognini, European data lawyer and essayist. In this episode, we'll talk about melancholy and regenerative rest of intellectual professionals and managers. Here in the lower left corner, you can see the mysterious and famous engraving entitled Melancholia I by the great Albrecht Dürer, or Alberto Durero if you prefer to imagine him on holiday in Italy, chatting with Mantegna or Bellini in the streets of Venice more than 500 years ago. This engraving is teeming with alchemical and enigmatic symbols, but rest assured, I am not about to scramble my way up to the dizzying interpretation of each and every meaning. Instead, I will focus my gaze, thanks to an intuition I owe to Edmond de Wail's delicate and touching book, Letters to Commando, published by Vintage Publishing, on the main protagonist, the melancholic angel, and the architects and carpenters' tools that surround him, haphazardly strewn around his dark, haggard figure. That angel is showing definite signs of burnout, much like a professional or a manager, a lawyer, a DPO, on the cusp of the summer break, exhausted and beleaguered by months and months of relentless, stressful work. The etymology of the word melancholy derives from the Latin melancholia and from the Greek melancholia, combining melas black and choli bile. Its original meaning of moral depression treated as an illness, to quote the words of Hans Tietze, was transmuted in 15th and 16th centuries philosophy into that of inertia caused by inner meditation, which gives rise to the creative force of the artist. Though, if you ask me, that angel looks more like a worn-out worker than a romantic artist. It is true that thinking other people's thoughts, in the long run, consumes you and eventually blackens you like coal. And just as black absorbs lights and colors entirely into itself, attracting them, capturing them, and obliterating them by condensing them into a single whole, see the new blackest black material that Anish Kapoor uses for his works, legal and compliance consultants and managers also overload themselves during the year with the lights and colors of others, spotlights saturated with problems and possible solutions, focused like lasers on their skin. We reach our limit, our eyes blinded by too much glare from outside, unable to breathe creativity or cultivate innovative, open and oxygenating initiatives to guide us. We lose imagination, anguished and afraid like the child I told you about in a previous episode in the painting on the cover of my book, The Art of Privacy. Fatigue and stress accumulated over time make it impossible to lift even a feather, a leaf, a sheet of paper. But then comes the redemptive and regenerative melancholy, a splendid isolation in darkness and in silence, a sublime exercise of the right to be let alone, an inertial escape route that metabolizes the blackness and opens up new pathways. We disengage like the sitting angel, we drop the tools of our trade. And amid total sweet idleness for a few days, we will brighten up, reflecting lights, colors, sensations, and thoughts once again. Better yet, for pure leisure and pleasure, let's borrow a beach pastime from Albrecht Dürer and his Melancholia I. Here in the lower right you can see a close-up detail of the magic square that appears above the angel in the engraving. If you add the numbers up horizontally, vertically or diagonally, the answer is always 34. The same if you add together the numbers of the 4 quadrants or those along each edge. The enigma entertains and guards, and we can take inspiration from it for our passwords and for magical digital cryptographic techniques. This arithmetic game tells us that, a little like Leonardo da Vinci, Dürer was an example of eclectic contamination between different disciplines. First a goldsmith, then a painter, engraver, alchemist, expert in astronomy and mathematics, and an essayist. Perhaps he was taught this magic square by the founder of accounting, Luca, whom he most likely met at the University of Bologna at the beginning of 16th century. To bring this idle reflection to a close, one last curiosity that is almost a misery loves company consolation for 21st century lawyers. During his lifetime, Dürer enjoyed great success throughout Europe, but he also felt the frustrations of a quibbling and ineffective judicial system in Venice, where he sued a forger, Marcantonio Raimondi, an outstanding engraver himself, incidentally, who illegally copied Dürer's works, complete with fake signature monograms. As Vasari reports in Vitae, He obtained nothing, however, other than that Marcantonio no longer used his name or his AD monogram in his works. Imagine Dürer's stress and melancholy. Thanks for following this 21st episode of Painted Privacy, and see you next time with Luca Bolognini's artificial avatar.